Before we take a look at your results and discussion, do you have any questions you want to ask before we get started?
Specific details about the thesis, for example, uh, the number of the pages. Do they have to be in a specific format or in a specific place of the?
I would suggest. Let me open up here. I would suggest at the top, in the right-hand corner. So here, I would just include the first 5 words of your title. You don't have to include all the words. And then on the right-hand side, right-hand corner, you can insert the page number.
Beginning from number 1 in the introduction.
Yeah, I would start it from just to keep it easy, just from the first page. I mean, technically, we typically don't number the first page, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to format that in Microsoft Word. So for me personally, I don't have a problem just starting with the first page and numbering, starting the number of page there.
That part you said about only 5 words.
Yeah, the first 5 words or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Using differentiating strength to integrate
students.
Yeah. Using differentiating to integrate all students. Or just using differentiating
Remember
strength.
We were going to change it. I don't think you told me it was going to be the last part.
Okay.
So it may change.
Yeah, it may change. But yeah, I mean, first 5 or 6 words, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you haven't made some changes still, is that? Or did I make these?
Yeah. No, those are the ones from
the 16th. So you still need to make these changes?
Sure. I was wondering about the introduction, the abstract, and the conclusion. You place an announcement where it says what they have to contain. Is that all the guide have to break down those parts?
Now your formatting here is backwards, so you might want to check this. The first sentence is indented. Yeah. See how you had this? I don't know what happened there. So I'll just double check that. Here you can, it's not necessary to put first, just put April 1.
In all days?
Mm-hmm.
In the references, what do I have to include as part of this? The same personal communication? Or is there any specific format to place that in the references?
It doesn't go in the references.
No?
Now, in this first paragraph, is this all evidence, or is this evidence and analyze, or results and discussion? Is it? in this first paragraph, which option are you following? Is it all evidence or is it evidence and analyze?
I think it was both.
Both? Okay.
I had trouble while uploading in the appendices when I upload the instruments. There do not appear the UAA model.
Okay. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Now, it's very important, Hope, whenever you do a discussion, okay, that you comment on the evidence. So, for example, here you have with classes, observed towards teams A and B, students seem to be a concrete team, work together, and distributed their work. So this seems like an analyze comment, right? This makes it like a comment. And there's really you're not commenting on any evidence. I don't see any evidence that links to this observation. So like here, maybe you want to insert here, because here, okay, this is evidence up here, and this is evidence here. This looks like it's almost all evidence except for this one sentence, which doesn't seem to comment on evidence that you've already presented. So you might want to replace this. Well, the thing is, you want to have two things. You want to have balance, evidence, and analyze, for one. And the second is you want to comment, you want to discuss specifically the evidence. See what I mean? Like, you don't want to discuss something that you don't have evidence for. And that's what I feel like you're doing here. See what I mean? Because you haven't observed anything specific that you, up to this point, you haven't observed or presented any evidence about what you observed that makes you think that they are a concrete team. So you might want to take a look at that. Pacific manner. I'll look that up. I think it's passive, maybe, or try to be more specific in your observations. Just whenever you discuss what you observed, describe precisely what was said and what was done. Okay, just try to be more specific in your observations. Now notice here, okay, this is the topic sentence is students commonly work towards the same objective. when getting in teams by choosing the classmates they like most or to whom they feel more comfortable. Right? So they choose to work with a friend, okay, so they feel secure. All right. Now, as Kevin said, who's Kevin?
Student number 1 in group A.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be too confusing. Well, yeah, here I would just keep it personal communication, April 3, 2014. And then Kevin, and then if you want to put in parentheses, student 1 and group A, see, instead of in the citation.
In all the students' names I wrote, or
Well,
just in the first?
Well, if it doesn't get too confusing, just do it once,
Because I mentioned two students per team.
Okay, so then,
Just the first thing?
Yeah.
And should I erase from the parentheses below?
Yes. I mean, you want to leave personal communication, April 3, 2014, just as, like this, but take out student group A. Now, we have to write 4 questions, and then we make the drawing, which is next. So, and also work in a specific manner. Like here, I'm looking for evidence that talks about the same objective, but I don't really see how this relates. I see this. This one relates. I see this because you have here in your topic sentence they like to work with each other, and it says here. Now, is this the first time you mentioned Molly?
Sure.
Okay. So what do we need the first time? No, pseudonym. Or mention it in your method section. You have to mention that the first time you mention Molly, pseudonym, so you tell the reader that it's not their real name. Right? So we talked about this, right? Last week. ¿Sí me explico? ¿Sí me...
Should I write? Entonces es entre paréntesis ponerle que es pseudonym.
Sí, ¿cómo es? ¿Mande? Sí. Después Molly, de primera vez, ponen pseudonym. We have to write 4. So I'm not sure exactly how this relates. So this seems like kind of like the same as the prior paragraph. Confirmation ¿Qué quieres decir aquí? With this information, the confirmation of the teams. Okay. You mean the development or integration? Formation. Okay. Avoid avoid the non-referential and passive voice. So instead of saying it could be observed that by the time, just say by the time they chose their team, they did it with some people in 3 different classes. So here you say the result of this action was well performance of the assignment task. What evidence do you have to support that because they chose their own teams that they performed well in the assigned task?
It was from the observation that only those teams finished on time.
Okay,
It was an
so present that evidence.
as a picture.
I don't know, however you present it someplace. You haven't presented that. I mean, presented that you said that they finished on time. So what does that mean, on time? So they had a time frame. They had 10 minutes. All the teams finished the test within 10 minutes, for example. Or
at least from one class.
Well, I mean, yeah, something, right? Because here's another example that you're discussing something that you haven't presented the evidence for. And I tell you this now because I don't want you to go up in front of the Seminalis and discuss something that you haven't presented the evidence, because they're going to ask. They're going to ask you, well, okay, you say here that the result, because of this action, they performed well. I don't see any evidence, so they're going to ask. All right, so make sure that you only discuss the evidence that you have presented. Meaning that it really functions for them. So from what could be seen during observations, okay, so what do you mean by distributed their work? Distributed their work. Everyone is going to make their same drawing. Okay, ¿mande?
Así porque lo distribuyen. Por Podemos explicar en qué consiste la actividad para poder decir que lo distribuyeron.
Un ejemplo.
Tienen que ser un mismo dibujo, pero para presentarlo.
Okay, so you say this, right, they were functioning well, they were working well together. So, is this evidence that you're talking about here?
Does it distribute work?
I mean, for me, like, if I distribute the work, I'm saying, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. For me, that's how I understand it. So, if I say, okay, Bobby, you do this, Joey, you do this, I see. So, but I don't know with you're talking about this performance, they work well together, and then you say distributed their work.
They were asked to have 4 pictures and a different story with the same drawing.
Okay. All right. So did the teachers give that? Did the teacher give those instructions? Well, check your notes.
Yes,
check your notes, and that's evidence. That's something that you can present. I mean,
la forma en la que se representa la distribución es con lo que ellos dicen, porque la maestra pudo haber dicho que van a hacer estos 5 dibujos y los van a decir de diferente manera, pero los pudo haber hecho uno solo. Entonces la evidencia de eso es que cada quien va a hacer
cada grupo.
Cada uno de los integrantes va a hacer un dibujo para presentar. Porque bien lo pudo haber hecho uno solo y eso no era evidencia de distribución. La evidencia es que se ha dicho cada quien lo va a hacer y cada quien lo va a hacer.
Pero who distributed the work?
The students.
Okay.
The students themselves.
Okay. Say that. The students distributed. I mean, but be specific, like you're saying, like the students took the drawings and distributed the drawings to the other students, or what for me, distributed is one student says, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, so that student distributed the work. Students don't distribute the work to each other. It's one person distributing the work. Okay, or you could say each student decided on what to do, or each student decided which drawings they were going to do. Now you've presented evidence. One sentence. The students decided. Okay. Now, so Kevin said everyone is going to make the same drawing. So he's telling the other students this. Right. So he's taking kind of a leadership role. Correct? Correct? Okay, so only one student. Okay. So say here, Kevin distributed the work to the other students, and you can say this later. You can say first, Kevin said, everyone is going to make it, and then you can say, which shows Kevin distributing the work to the other students, something like that. Due to the part of the task we're performing had to do with the distribution of the drawings. Each team member had a member whose role was to design the roles. Each team member had a member whose role was to design the roles and provide most of the information needed in order to complete the task. It was the case of Margaret. It was the case of Margaret. She shows this aspect when she told the team. Now, so Margaret, have you mentioned Margaret before? No. Sí.
¿Hola?
I'm going to include a link here, Holden. There are many, many links on YouTube to help you with comma splices and run-on sentences. Okay, so take a look at that video and try to avoid comma splices. And try to write more in the active voice. All right, so in this paragraph, is this mainly evidence, or is this evidence and analyzing this paragraph here?
I'm trying to combine both.
Okay, I think you need more discussion. Like there's too much, you have too many results versus discussion. Yeah, and like here, so you have topic sentence, and then I would get in the habit of after topic sentence, if you're going to include evidence in this paragraph, the second I would start right away with the evidence, because here it looks like you have like an analysis. Yeah, so. Okay. So, yeah, I want you to focus a little bit more, adding more discussion and trying to maintain, because right now the way it is, you tend to have a little bit more evidence, not enough discussion, and the placement, making sure that what you discuss, you have clear evidence first. It's like the evidence, and then you discuss evidence, and then you discuss that evidence, and then you discuss that, or any prior evidence that you've talked about before. But try to avoid having discussion and then later have the evidence that I would try to have the evidence first. Okay, so I would try to follow that. Yeah, I think you just have too not enough discussion. Yeah. Okay, so take a look here. And have you added, I think we talked about this too, making sure that you have citations. Have you, I don't think, have you added citations? Sorry? No, okay. So just make sure.
Sí, no borro los comentarios.
Okay. And do you have your codes? And yeah, I would, in your codes, okay. Present your codes in an outline form like the example that I uploaded to Canvas, and I would remove all the bold text here. Okay. All right. Any questions?
I have trouble when uploading the URL. Yes, yes. Never.
I don't know. I don't think I have the logo. Let's just maybe try it again, or check the logo, make sure it's okay. Or if you continue to have problems, you can also just upload it or insert it in Microsoft Word. But you should be able to insert images. Yeah. So you might just double check to make sure it's like the right JPEG or whatever
Size.
file format. Maybe the size has something to do with it, or the file type. And make sure that you use Times New Roman.
Even though the printed form is not like that.
Uh-huh.
So if it is not going to be the same as the printed one, can I remove the spaces so that it can get in only one page?
As long as it looks halfway presentable. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
I had trouble with the codes when uploading the underlines of them. There must appear underlines for the line.
Okay.
Can I write between parentheses and the underline?
So the lines, which lines?
Ahí deberían de aparecer que, por ejemplo, para el task completed, una rayita así.
Yeah, I would just try to create. ¿Sí has visto el ejemplo? Okay, and announcements. And let's see. Something like this, like an outline. It can be category, subcategory, or code, or you can use theme, category, code, which is kind of what we talked about before. Either way is fine, but that you have it in an outline form like this. Okay.
Yes. This an announcement?
Uh-huh. Okay, for May 2nd, we have announcements. I have a video here where I talk about it, and this is the link on page 9. You can see the example. Okay. All right, so try to go ahead and make those changes. Do you have any questions about the abstract, introduction, or conclusion?
No, I read the announcement. Yeah.
Okay. Really watch this video and any other videos that help you with run-on sentences and comma splices, okay? Because I want you to really focus on that. You have a lot of comma splices in your document, so make sure that you have complete sentences and that you're careful with run-on sentences and comma splices. Okay.
I don't remember if in the document you uploaded in the announcements. If there appears the number of words that the introduction, conclusion, and abstract have.
There you have it.
Okay, yes. This is a what.
All right.
Yes. Today we will again modify that last part and hopefully most of the interview that is
Okay.
ready for Thursday, right?
Yeah, before 2 o'clock.
Just one
Just one.
set printed.
Yeah, just one document. All right.
As soon as I modify, we will let you know again.
Okay. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Sounds good. See you later.